All right, welcome back, everyone. It is currently 6:21 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, September 11th. Hey, we didn't plan on this, but it is 9/11. I do want to give a quick shout out to all those lost. Horrific day, obviously. This is in the moment. I really didn't plan on speaking this, but since I gave the date, tough time, man.
I forgot
What do
about
you
it
remember about that day?
yesterday. I was in third grade. I remember they sent, obviously they didn't tell the kids anything, but they sent us all to the cafeteria and parents started picking them up from school. And my little brother had just been born like 2 weeks before. I mean, he was literally like an infant. And my stepmom came and picked me up, and crazy day for sure.
I don't remember really anything about it. I don't remember them taking us out of school though.
Well, we were in the Northeast, so that was
true.
probably the difference. But yeah, they sent everybody home.
I remember my dad picking me up, which wasn't not normal, because that was on a Tuesday, and we usually had Boy Scouts on Tuesday, and we would go together. And he picked me up. I was like, whatever, that's not weird. We got to go to Boy Scouts. And the way to leave my school was right to go home, left to go to Boy Scouts. And I remember we took a right, and I remember saying, "Hey, aren't we supposed to go to Boy Scouts?" And he said, "No, not tonight." And I was like, "Why not?" "Well, something's happened." And they kept us in the dark. My parents did. And when we got home, I remember my mom didn't even make dinner. She was so glued to the TV, she ordered a pizza. And we ate. They kept us in the kitchen. But like, we're kids, we know something's going on. Yeah. And I remember like peering in and seeing the footage, and I was like, oh, clearly something happened.
The gravity at the time, obviously, because we were kids, wasn't, huge, right. But you get that how, insane that day actually was. Every year you get older, especially the footage. If you look back on some of the videos,
it feels like there's always new footage every year.
It's still like unbelievable. It really, like, you'll watch it and just it's crazy as shit. It just flew right into the building. I mean, I know that's obvious, but it's crazy when you actually watch one of the videos. It really is.
Yeah. So let's talk some football. I want to start things off. I mean, it feels prudent for the podcast with our game, the Eagles-Packers game, down in Brazil. Obviously, your Eagles emerged victorious, 34-29. I want to know your thoughts. You're the winner. You go first.
First of all, sorry about the injury, dude. That sucks. Glad to hear, he's not out all year. I think you guys are still a playoff team. I wish you had a little better of a backup than Malik Willis, but it is what it is. I think he'll run the ball a lot, try to play some good D, and I think he'll be, fine over this stretch, and hopefully he comes back all good. So just wanted to just say that. But the thing that I really want, I didn't take anything from this game. I think it was just kind of about as random of a game as you could get. Obviously, being week one and just not knowing what other, we have a new OC. Is Jordan Love going to be the same, blah, 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 across the board. And then the field, I think we have to talk about the field. I don't think you can properly play defense or offense when you don't have solid footing. I mean, even on the last play of the game, the sack to end the game before the Hail Mary, I mean, on his last step of his drop, he slipped, and it ruined the entire play. It took him a second to get his, and then you only get a second in the NFL.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I was gonna talk about Malik Willis, and I was gonna say how I was listening to Bill Simmons, and him and the guy he had on were mocking how Malik Willis, like, on that Hail Mary, wasn't gripping the laces for that Hail Mary, and I totally forgot about him slipping. And I was like, he was probably flustered. I don't care about that. It was last play of the game. Who gives a shit? But yeah, slipping, like, I can totally see how he might have, mishandled the ball or something and panicked. Yeah.
I mean, even Saquon's first touch as an Eagle, I mean, he literally touched the ball and slipped right down in the backfield. And Jalen throws a pick a couple plays later. I mean, that's why I don't really take much from it, because I don't think the score was indicative of how poorly, honestly, the teams played. I think if you look at the score, I think it shows kind of maybe both offenses played well. I don't really think that they did, even though they made some plays. I think the pass rush was non-existent, and I think I don't like blaming the field for that, but like, dude, you can't bend the edge on that
Yeah.
field. You just can't. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? Bull rush every play?
I
Hand
don't
fight every
know if
play?
it benefited offense or defense. I can see how defense, like you're all like literally you're on the defensive. Like
Yeah.
that's what part of it. That's what that side of the ball is all about. And so you're already, kind of on the defense, and you got to have soft footing. And I'll get into that later with Jordan Love when we talk about him. But I guess it benefited the offense. I don't know. Both teams played on the field. I'm not blaming the field for the loss, but
I personally think it does benefit the offense in the sense that it's like playing in snow. Like you know when you're going to cut. So I mean, obviously it helps to have good footing, but I mean, if you just got to react really quick, I mean, they were just dudes all over the place. I was glad to get out of there with a win. I just think that's a win and get the hell home, kind of game. So I didn't really take anything from it. Saquon excited me. That was probably, and AJ Brown is AJ Brown. But that's pretty much it. I think, I mean, I don't know. I just bottom line, I think it was really hard to take anything from that game because of the Brazil thing, the week 1 thing. Eagles had a new OC. I mean, I just think there was a lot going on, and I think it was just kind of a heavyweight fight. It was a great game.
It's disappointing on my end. I was hoping for a better showing. I didn't pick the Packers to win, but I mean, we got off to a good start. I mean, whenever the other team turns the ball over twice on 2 possessions, like you need to get more than 6 points, and that was the difference in the game. I said it at the time. I said it several times on Twitter that when your opponent turns the ball over, in this case 3 times, you got to come away with more than 9 points.
100%.
And Green Bay was, forced 3 turnovers, got 9 points. Philly forced 1 turnover, got 7 points. That was the game right there.
Yeah.
Take those out, it's a 1-score game. Philly still comes out on top, but that's what made the difference in the game. 100%. As for Jordan Love, I don't think he's getting too much. He probably got it because he got hurt, but he had a horrendous third quarter. But I thought he was fine in the first half. Clearly, I think the field had a lot to do with his performance.
100%.
It just didn't look like he was able to put, like, once he slipped once or twice in the first half, and it was more
he didn't want to drive off of his foot.
He did not want to drive off that foot anymore. And I think that's why he was underthrowing a lot of balls. And then, of course, probably he was having cramps or some sort of calf issue during the game. And I think that was some of it too. Just explains his performance, I think, in the third quarter. I'm not worried about it.
No.
But the injury, does suck. You're already in some bad habits, and I think that was some of it too. I think he had a lot of bad habits in that game that probably came from just practice. You create bad habits.
Yeah.
You don't learn it until you get into a game, and it is what it is. What were you gonna say? Sorry, I lost track.
You didn't put him on IR, so I mean, potentially he could be back even sooner. Who knows?
I mean, Green Bay is a very, very conservative team when it comes to injuries. They typically, will play it safe. They'll keep guys out an extra week if they have to. They take all the precautions. The fact that he, wasn't on crutches, he wasn't in a boot. They assisted him a little bit after the game, but like the camera showed him walking off the field, and like Josh Jacobs, he had his arm around Josh Jacobs. It didn't look like he needed any assistance.
It's fine. Like the MCL. I mean, he should be fine to walk around and run. It's more of a, the ligaments are much more of a kind of a lateral movement thing. He'll be fine. At least, it's not that serious of an injury. I mean, he technically, I think if it was a playoff.
I say all that because this timeline, they're saying he's going to be out a month. They say 3 to 6 weeks. I doubt it's 6 weeks just based on the way Green Bay is talking. Like I said, they're a very conservative team when it comes to injuries, and they're already talking like he might suit up this week.
That's what I was saying. If it was a playoff game, I bet he'd play this week when when Pat Mahomes played with the high ankle sprain. If it's structurally there, it's like I'll play around it. You know what I mean?
I saw a graph today that said 15 quarterbacks have sprained their MCL since 2015. So the last decade, they missed a total of 9 games between the 15 quarterbacks. So,
oh wow, interesting.
I think it's probably going to be definitely this week, maybe the next week.
That's what I'm thinking too.
I think that Adam Schefter said it. I think the Minnesota game's when he's gonna. That's a realistic timeline.
I mean, if you guys go 0-2 these next couple weeks, I mean, I know the Packers probably won't operate that way, but I mean, everyone's gonna be like,
well, it's Indianapolis this week, and I don't feel great about it, and then it's Tennessee the next week. That's a win. Both are winnable games.
Yeah.
Tennessee, I think I'll go ahead and say I think they'll probably win that game, but if it's 0-3, that's a problem. And whatever, it is what it is. Injuries are part of the game. Yep. It just sucks. Bad start. Couldn't have asked for a worse start to the season.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could have, but yeah, I'll take it.
It's about as bad as it gets. I understand there, but it's a long season, and he'll be back, and I'm so excited about the Eagles this year, or Saquon at least after watching that game.
I mean, he looked great, but Green Bay, I just want a competent defense, and I don't think I'm ever going to get
it. and I not to dwell on Green Bay and Philly here, but like, how don't you guys have the best defense ever? You draft a player in the first round every single year.
I think our personnel is okay. I don't know. I don't get it.
I agree. It's not like you guys have a bunch of scrubs all over, but I really don't get it either. I feel like you guys are middle of the pack at best every year, and just never really changes. I don't know why.
It's week one. You never know. We talked about the field. Maybe they just were a little slower than usual. We got a ways. I'm not panicking, but I was definitely not pleased with that performance defensively. Moving on, do you want to talk Ravens Chiefs? That was kind of the big game of the week.
Sure. I mean, I only have a few takeaways from it, honestly. I mean, one, I do think Baltimore has regressed a bit this year. Two, I think Kansas City actually got better, and that never means, thank God this is football and it's one game in the playoffs. It doesn't mean they're going to three-peat. They obviously very well could. But I do think that they are technically a better team this year. Xavier Worthy looked really, really fast, especially on that end around. Rashee Rice looked good. I think he caught like 6 or 7 balls. Travis Kelce didn't do much, but that they looked, fairly dominant, honestly, without him is, that just makes him kind of icing on the cake.
There's a lot of Xavier Worthy talk after this game, and I get it. He played really well. Pump the brakes a little bit. I want to see this kid in January.
He's a gadget player, but Andy Reid will use him the way that he's supposed to be used, which is good. But I agree. I mean, I don't think he's a world beater, but I do think he's a really good piece. I think he's kind of what they wanted Tony to be, but isn't. And I do just kind of want to talk about Lamar, because I think a lot of people, Lamar isn't a running back, and of course Lamar can throw the ball. He has some throws that are absolutely insanely elite, but I think on a consistent basis, he has a very hard time. And I think my quarterback does too. Jalen, just, being able to dot up in the pocket the way that you need to be able to win in the playoffs consistently. I mean, who knows? Maybe Lamar goes off 3 games in a row and they win the Super Bowl. You never know. But I mean, consistently kind of be there. And I don't think he's going to be able to beat Pat Mahomes like the way that he plays. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points the way he plays to keep up with Pat Mahomes, especially now that it looks like their defense is really good, dude.
Last year was their shot.
Yes. The Kansas City defense is good, dude. I mean, they're very good. They got dudes everywhere, and not a bunch of big names. They got a few blue chippers, but they're just good. They're young. They're fast. They were covering well. Chris Jones is still uncoverable. I mean, or unblockable. He was in the backfield especially first half. I mean,
yeah, they struggled.
Wrecked the play. But yeah, didn't have much. It honestly went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I thought
I sent you the screenshot of what I said on my weekly picks. It was spot on. The score, the breakdown. I was like, it was incredible.
It did. It went exactly the way, somebody that knows ball would expect it to go, which honestly rarely happens. Like, you can always, apply your logic to a game and it'll go like this, and it rarely does.
Yeah, NFL humbles you real quick. That's why.
Mr. 15-1, get the hell out of here. 15-1 is insane. What was the one you got wrong?
The fucking Bengals against the Patriots. That was the one game I got wrong.
But dude, everyone in America got
I know.
that.
But I was like, are you kidding me? The fucking Patriots was the one I got wrong. But I did look.
Honestly,
I wasn't going to bring this up until we get into picks later.
I consider that a perfect week. Seriously.
I believe I went back to 2020 when I started keeping track of our picks. I don't believe either of us have gone 15-1.
Dude, doing that in the NFL is insane.
Yeah.
There's always a couple upsets. Always. Every single week.
The best I've done is 14-2. And you went 12-4. I mean,
which isn't bad.
That's 75%. Like, that's really good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like 12-4, I would be proud of that. But 15-1.
I would take 12-4 every week.
Dude, 15. If I could do 12-4 every week, I'd be a rich man. So I agree with you.
Real. I mean, some things here, we don't have to talk every game, but I do want to talk. God damn it. For sure. What was the game? Cowboys Brown. Let's talk that game.
Sure.
That was probably the other big game of the week.
Yeah.
What did you think? Look, before we get into the game itself, what did you think of Brady's performance? He's getting a lot of shit.
I will be honest with you. I watched that game at the bar and I didn't hear a single word of it. I didn't really see anybody say that he did that good. I thought Middlecoff made like a really good point. Like you kind of got to have like a pitch as a broadcaster, like a shtick, like what kind of makes you who you are. And Tom Brady's can kind of just be that he's the greatest player ever, but you still kind of got to be entertaining. And I think he will get it just because he, and I think all pro athletes, he just hates to be bad at shit. And I think he'll kind of do what he needs to do to at least be good enough to finish out his contract. I mean, he's making what, $30-something million a year. So I don't foresee him quitting or they're not going to fire Tom Brady. I don't care if he's bad. They won't do it. They just won't. So I don't know. What did you think?
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. And I could tell like immediately. I was like, oh, but I didn't. I was like, you could tell he was nervous. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, okay, he's clearly nervous. He'll settle in. This game will be fine. And then like it kept going, and I was like,
and I'm so serious. I genuinely don't think like 99% of people understand how like impossibly hard it is to call any sporting event. Like there's like 10 guys in it in America that are good at it. A couple checks.
Go back in the archive. I bet Chris Collinsworth was rough out of the gate. I bet John Madden might have been rough out of the gate. I bet Troy Aikman might have been rough out of the gate.
Joe Buck,
I'm not worried about it. Brady's a work horse. Like he's gonna get better at it.
And he knows the league. It's more just kind of understanding the flow. He doesn't need to study football or rosters or any of that shit. I mean, he just really needs to understand like John Middlecoff said, like it's an entertainment product, man. They don't want to hear you break down coverages and shit like that. They want to hear you rip people, praise people.
Which that's what I thought Brady would be great at.
Yeah.
Because I still do. Like he'll tell it like it is. I fully believe that. Yeah. He didn't do a ton of that though on Sunday. But the thing that Middlecoff brought up that you brought up was you do have to find a shtick. Whatever your shtick is. Can you be entertaining? I think Brady can be a showman. He just didn't really show it. First time out, I'm not worried about it.
And he's great in like interviews and everything. He's not like weird. He will be good at it. I do think he will. I do think he has a good enough personality and everything like that. He'll be fine. It is disappointing to hear that it went poorly though. I was rooting for him.
I mean, I didn't expect him to be a great broadcaster right out of the gate. I figured it'd be rough. So the game itself, I mean, I don't think we really learned anything about Dallas, even though they kicked their ass. I think the biggest takeaway is honestly like it's Deshaun Watson. Like I was ready last year. Like my thumb was on the panic button for this team until he got hurt. Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess you let that slide and then see next year. And now like you got to be fully on the panic button, like pressing the panic button right now if you're Cleveland.
100%. And Dallas, I first of all, they were underdogs in that game. I bet them heavy. I knew they were going to win that game. They're just a better team.
I wasn't confident in it, but I did end up going with Dallas.
And Dallas, I knew they were going to have a really good defense. It looked really good. Maybe Deshaun Watson isn't even an NFL player anymore, and that helped. And I'm sure it was kind of a little bit of both. Apparently he's getting sued again for something
I
else.
saw
I
that.
mean, he just I don't think he's that good of a guy. I don't think his teammates really like him that much anymore because of the contract that he got with all the stuff going on. And you're not, when you make that much money, man, and you're not playing well, I bet players get really jealous and envious and pissed when players are playing well. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not a super likable guy, which doesn't seem like Deshaun is. And they are. Because I wanted to talk to you about this. I meant to text it to you earlier. Apparently, it would cost them, I believe it said $140 million dead cap to cut him this year, which is,
Let's look it up real quick. I'm on my laptop.
dude, it was what it might have been 170. It might have been 170, but it was one of those two numbers. And like, dude, that's 40 to 55% of your cap space. That's insane. Just dead cap money.
Yeah. So right now, his dead cap is $200 million right now.
But that would be
Next
after
year,
this year. So I guess it would get paid out a little bit.
I'm sorry. You're right. So after this year, it's 172. So you're right.
Yeah, I knew it. I was like, 170 sounded too high, but I was like, maybe 100. So they literally cannot cut him. They have to keep, but it's like, it's so crazy.
We've seen it with teams. Like Green Bay was willing to take it on the chin with Rodgers. Philly was willing to take it on the chin with Carson
This is
Wentz's
another level,
I
dude.
totally agree. Yeah.
This is like, I mean, I think Carson Wentz's was like 30 something million, which was a record at the time. I think Russell Wilson beat that. I think, but even Russell Wilson's was like 80 million. And people
I forgot about him. Yeah, him too.
Like this, and it's like, I mean, dude, that's uncuttable. That's over half of your cap space.
That's definitely insane. Next year. I mean, I think it's 2026 at the earliest they can cut him.
He's gone. But it's so crazy because the fans, they're not going to care pretty soon. They're just going to be like, dude, I don't give a shit. Play the backup. Like, I don't get, like, we're paying all this money to come to these games. You made the bad contract and you're playing. I mean, dude, he didn't even look like an NFL player out there. It was bad. Dallas does have a good defense, but oh my goodness. And it's not like they don't have they have an offensive coach who's proven to be pretty decent.
I think Kevin Stefanski's competent. I think he gets a little too much credit. Like, I get it. His quarterback situation definitely.
The Flacco thing definitely boosted his status, but I mean, it really does just blow my mind how it's the same teams that are bad all the time. They just can't help themselves, and here we are again. I mean, the Browns they're 2 years, 3 years minimum before they're good again, but it's the freaking Browns. You might not be good again for 20 years. So
I was wondering this: do you draft a quarterback this year and then just have Deshaun Watson sit the bench at $50 million a year?
They don't have a choice. Who's their backup?
I couldn't tell you.
I just heard.
Jameis Winston? Is it Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston. Yeah. First of all, Jameis Winston would throw a lot of picks, but he would score points. I bet you they would win a lot of games with him because of the defense that they have, by the way. But yeah, I mean, they literally don't have a choice. I'd draft one in the next 2 years. Like maybe not, maybe it depends on the picks, man. Maybe one high and one mid round. I don't, they got to do something, dude. They got to do something. And he's untradeable. I mean, he's just.
I was just going to say, I do want to touch up on Dallas and give them credit. Heck of a performance.
They look good, man.
They answered, I mean, talk about a team that was like a ton of distractions this offseason. Contract status up in the air for Dak. That was settled before the game. McCarthy's future kind of up in the air this year, but off to a great start. They really didn't miss a beat from last year. My whole thing is that we really didn't learn anything new about them. I don't think Cleveland is that good. And, this team is
have to run the
good
ball.
At just beating bad teams. Yeah.
And Dallas just – I think when they get into a game where they got to salt a game away, they're going to have a tough time because they're not going to be able to run the ball very effectively. And I think they're not necessarily poised for shootouts either, even though they have a good offense, because I feel like you can kind of take away CD. I mean, just bracket CD. And I don't think they're going to have a lot left to work with against good defenses. Bad defenses is a different story, but no doubt. I knew they were going to be good. I was like, dude, they're going to win 11 or 12 games again. Like they lost a couple of
that's the
players,
one pick where I'm like, that was dumb. picking them to miss the playoffs.
I picked Cleveland to make the playoffs, buddy, and they
True.
might win 5 games at this point. So don't feel too bad. But yeah, I'll definitely give them their credit. Good on Dak. I think that was the most perfect example. Me and my friends talk about all the time how like everything in life is about leverage. Anything with women, with your job. If you don't have any leverage, you can't do anything. If you have a bunch of leverage, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Dak could not have had more leverage in this situation. They weren't going to be able to upgrade on Dak because of where they're going to be drafting every single year. Shadeur is not going to be there for him. And another team would have paid him what Dallas just paid him, 100%. There would have been maybe 4 or 5 teams that would have done it. So he was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'll just go somewhere else next year and I'll make the money regardless. He was just in a spot where he didn't have to give a shit. And Jerry did. So good for him.
I was never really concerned that Dak's future was in doubt in Dallas.
I did.
I didn't. Jerry Jones is old. He wants to win another Super Bowl. Dak gives him that the best chance to do that.
I agree.
I thought McCarthy, was probably in doubt after this year. But Dak, I like the guy. Good for him. But it's really, I don't think it's going to get him anywhere.
No, I mean, I don't either. It was just kind of one of those. And I think this was a little bit different than like the Tua contract or like I do think Dak is better, than those type of players. But, I think
Middlecoff talks about this and no one else does, is you're giving these guys contracts, not for what they've done, but for what you're projecting them to do.
Yeah.
And do you really think Dak's going to win them a Super Bowl?
No, I don't.
It could happen. Yeah, I think it's highly unlikely.
I agree. I've seen it too many times, man. Like, there's something in Dak, and I'll ask you, do you know of any big games that Dak's won outside of a couple of wildcard games? And I even mean regular season. There's something in Dak's head, man. When he knows that he can beat the shit out of the team, he will turn it up, dude. And he looks like Joe Montana out there. But like, when there's ever like a doubt of like, damn, these guys are really good, he just crumbles, dude. He really does. And it's such a wild variance of a player. And it's just, I watch him almost every week just because like I hate watching him every week pretty much. My old roommate was a huge fan, and I've just noticed it every week. Every time there's a big game, dude, he just crumbled. Like, I can't think of like a really good outside the Eagles. He beats the shit out of the Eagles.
I was just gonna say, like, that's the one team, like he gets the Eagles once a year.
Yep. And it's one of those things, why? Even though the Eagles are good, he knows he can beat them because he's done it a bunch of times. And he's like
also facing twice a year. You know what they're running. Like, you're most familiar with them.
It's just so weird, man. I just feel like he has this thing because he definitely has the talent. It's just like a confidence thing, man. And like when his confidence is high, I mean, this might be obvious, but like when his confidence is high, he just looks amazing. But when he might have like a bigger variance, biggest variance in the league, maybe him and like Kirk Cousins. Like, they can literally play an all-pro level week and then just look absolutely terrible the next week. It's very weird, but yeah.
So let's go to the Monday night game, where another impressive performance by a team with a lot of distractions this offseason, and it's the Niners. But again, my takeaway wasn't really with the Niners. It was more the Jets. That was not the showing that I think they wanted. What do you think?
I mean, I saw that first drive and I was like, okay. I mean,
Yeah, I was like, oh, all right.
Rodgers and Wilson is definitely a connection. I could just tell you right now, Rodgers doesn't have confidence in his ankle yet. First of all, he wasn't running around. I'm sure age has to do with that.
There was one play where I can't give you the point in the game, but there was pressure coming, and he kind of stepped to the right and circled back to the other side of the field, and it looked like me out there. Yeah. Like, it just looked very unathletic.
Slow.
And gosh, he looks slow.
And it's not even just the runaround stuff. It was kind of like with the Eagles, and Packers game where he's just not, and he has, top 2 arm of all time. So he doesn't need to step into his throws like a guy like a Jalen Hurts, would. He was throwing off his back foot almost every single pass, man. I mean, it was all just like his typical, like.
I mean, he always kind of did that, but yeah.
I know, man, but it's just like, I don't think they have the O-line. Like, one of these tackles gets hurt, which that's going to happen.
O-line was okay. I thought it was okay, but I honestly don't think San Francisco's defensive front is that good outside of Nick Bosa.
I'll tell you what, I mean, my biggest takeaway, first of all, people were just had too high of expectations with this team anyway. I knew
Yes.
it wasn't going to be good from the jump. Robert Saleh's bad. He's a bad coach. He's got to go. Great defensive coordinator. I'd hire him on the Eagles in a second if he got fired, but he is just not a head coach. I don't think I've ever heard him say anything where I thought it was profound or smart. His defense didn't look great. I mean, I'm sure a lot of that had to do with the opponent, but I don't know, man. Like they look like a 7-win team to me.
Yeah, I mean, it really didn't look like much had changed. Yeah, Rodgers had a couple like nice balls, but
Of course,
they're gonna face. I'm telling you, they're gonna face better defensive fronts than San Francisco. I really don't think San Francisco's defensive front is that good. And then on the other side, defensively, they had no pressure, and that's what happens when you trade for Hassan Reddick and he wants a new contract. You don't give it to him, and he's still holding out. But all these guys that they have drafted high, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, no pass rush. And Quinnen Williams is only one guy. And, I mean, Shanahan just ran it down their throat. I loved it. Not a great showing from the Jets. It made us look smart, though. Like, I don't see it with the Jets. I never did. I didn't last year, and I fell for the hype anyway. Granted, Rodgers got hurt, so we don't really know. But
and something I heard him talking about on NFL Live earlier, Rodgers, because he, historically has been so talented and can kind of just literally make something out of nothing with his arm. He's always preferred like a really vanilla offense. I heard he doesn't really like motion as much. See, I never knew all this until today. So maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but you need that back, dude. Like now there's going to have to be a little more, not trickery, but like, we're going to have to scheme some guys open. We're going to have to bring some of the stuff that from Matt LaFleur that kind of won him those last 2 MVPs, where it's like we're doing a mix of what you like, but like we're gonna do some more of this Shanahan West Coast offense kind of stuff. Nate Hackett's just calling these long developing.
The biggest thing with those 2 years that in Green Bay when he won MVP, who was the play caller?
LaFleur.
It was LaFleur. LaFleur's not there anymore.
Or I know,
he's
exactly
with the Packers. He's the real offensive coordinator. It wasn't Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, and I first of all, I think, we have the proof is in the pudding that Nate Hackett is really bad, and he's kind of a yes man for Rodgers, but I think they're going to have a really hard time because a lot of Aaron's game has always been predicated on, being a playmaker, frankly, and it's not going to happen, man. You're old coming off of an Achilles. It's not going to happen. He is going to be so slow. I mean, just dude, you're 40 years old. Those 25-year-old D tackles are going to swallow you. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't see it with them. If you told me at the end of the year they only had 5 wins, I believe you. I swear to God.
Yeah, I mean, we said to each other in the preseason that I mean, the variance with the Jets was I could see 12 wins, I could see 5 wins.
Yeah.
And right now, I think it leans more toward 5 wins. I'm still going to say I had them at 8 and 9. I'm not wavering from that. I had them losing this game in the preseason.
I could see.
Feels about right,
but I mean, they have talent. I mean, they are, their secondary is very, very good.
But as I've said with this team, name another player at these positions besides like Sauce Gardner. Who's the other corner? At wide receiver, name someone outside of Garrett Wilson. I got to tell you, it's not Mike Williams. I don't think he's that good of a player.
No, Lazard.
O-line is a little better, but it's not a top 10 unit. And I just never saw it with this team. And overhyped. I mean, that's what happens with these New York teams. These big market teams are going to get a lot of hype.
Yep. And frankly, I don't think they have the coaching staff to come anywhere close to fixing it. So I think what you saw last night is going to be what they are all season. That might be one of the better versions of it.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Because they're very healthy. And they'll win a lot of games playing like that, just not against that team. But yeah.
We'll know more this week when they take on Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree. I think that game will tell us a lot about the Jets. I mean, if they can go in there, nice 10-point win, Rodgers can throw for, 225 or something. You're going to have to give me something here, buddy. I'll feel a lot better about them, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee kept that close at all.
Is there another game you want to touch up on? I was awfully impressed with the Rams on Sunday Night Football. That was one I texted you during the game. I might have to eat crow with the Rams.
First of all, I don't think the Rams are going to be healthy enough. Apparently, they got a couple O linemen out, and what's his name's already getting.
Well, they just put Puka Nacua on IR. I think they put two other guys on IR too on the offensive line. So,
and I don't think they're necessarily going to have a pass rush. I think they're a very well coached team with a really good quarterback when he's humming, and that's just good enough to win you a lot of games. If Stafford's healthy, I could see him winning 11, 12 games. I would be surprised if he lasted the whole season. Not season ending or anything, but I'd be surprised if he didn't miss a couple games, man.
I hate to say it, he almost always does. He misses a game or two, and
he's old, man, and
he's had problems in the past.
He's gotten peppered, man. I mean, he's going to be hurting as an old man. One team that I was really impressed with that I think is just going to be a pain in the ass for teams all year that you were right on and I wasn't was the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, the Cardinals.
They didn't even get Marvin Harrison Jr. going or anything like that at all, and they could have easily won that game. Josh Allen is. I'm telling you right now, if Patrick Mahomes, knock on wood, were to, God forbid, something happened to him and he could never play football again, Josh Allen is the second best football player on the entire planet. There really are very few guys that can they don't have shit on offense, dude. And he had just 4 total touchdowns. He was like, we're winning this game. And they did.
The spread of that game was 6.5. At least the last time I checked before kickoff. I don't know if it went down or up. And I didn't feel good about that. I was like, they're breaking in too many players offensive. I'm really on both sides of the ball. Name a dude in their secondary outside of Rasul Douglas.
Well, they got Buddha, don't they, still?
No, I'm talking Buffalo, not Arizona.
No. And because both of their safeties are hurt, right? Matt Milano's hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, who do that?
Keon Coleman, I think it might be their best pass catcher outside of Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid. I mean, although I think Knox is still there too.
Yes.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I picked Buffalo to win. I'm not surprised Arizona gave them a fight, though. That was a feisty team last year.
Yeah, I agree. And one other team I wanted to give a shout out to because it's probably going to want to be one of their only wins all season is the Patriots.
I figured you'd go Patriots.
I think they played their ass off for their coach, which for Mayo, which I really appreciate. And I think what's going to happen this year, and a lot of people are going to blame it on Joe Burrow. I think Zach Taylor's finally going to get exposed. I don't think he's a great coach. I do think mediocre is probably tough. I do think he's in the top half of the league.
That's harsh. I think that's
but
harsh.
I think there's pretty decent chance he might get fired at the end of the year if they miss the playoffs again, which I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know if you saw Joe Burrow messing with his hand, man. That scares me.
I didn't watch the game. I did want to talk about this game.
It doesn't look healthy, dude. He didn't look healthy. I don't know about the play necessarily. It didn't necessarily look like there was too much going on with his play other than the fact that they played bad. But dude, he was having a hard time grabbing the water bottle from the trainer and stuff. It scared me because I love Joe Burrow. I don't want him, but
how do you come up that flat 3 years in a row?
I don't know, man. Apparently Zach Taylor's 1-5 in openers. I think that's
and the one coaching. Year that he won, I think, was 2021 when they went to the Super Bowl. I don't get it with the Bengals, but I'm not that far off on you when it comes to Zach Taylor. I can't tell I think he's a competent coach. I can't tell how good he is.
Me too. And I don't think anybody can. And I think the thing, when I watch, and Middlecoff was talking about this earlier, and I really agreed with him. When I watch the Bengals, it does seem like a lot of playmaking going on rather than easy play. If that makes sense, it doesn't seem like he's some X's and O's whiz. And it's just I don't know, man. I want to see Joe Burrow with one of those guys. So I don't know. I mean, I can tell you right now, it doesn't look pretty for them, though they are still really talented. So who knows, maybe just like last year before Burrow got hurt, they kind of turn it up and look really good for a second. But I don't know, man. I think there's a lot going on there. I think they play in a tough division.
In my opinion, it's time to have a conversation. Something clearly is going on in the preseason where, and look, I'm kind of a believer in get your guys some reps in the preseason. No one's trying.
But 100%, first of all, I agree with you on that. But I don't see how if you're the Bengals, you're not sitting there like Kubiak from the Saints or forget his what's the OC for the Texans or Ben Johnson. How are you not dude, let me get Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow with this guy, with one of these guys over Zach Taylor, who, if you remember, that was like almost like a throwaway hire when they made it, wasn't he? He was like Sean McVay's like 8th guy in the offense or some shit
Yeah,
like
he
that.
was the quarterback's coach with the
Yeah.
Rams. I forget who the OC was.
I think it was because he got hired too. It was
him and LaFleur were hired in the same
LaFleur.
cycle.
It was LaFleur, no?
No, LaFleur was in Tennessee. They hired him from Tennessee.
Yeah, true.
I don't remember who was the OC. Maybe he was the OC. I thought he was the quarterback's coach.
No, I don't think he was, dude, because I just remember being like, damn, like they're hiring this guy. But at the time, I mean, the Bengals were in shambles and they just kind of had to take a, whoever was left type of deal there. But yeah, I wanted to shout that out. And I don't know, man. Like that just
they didn't have one. They didn't have an OC.
Just because Sean McVay is the OC. Okay.
Yeah. The senior offensive assistant was, oddly enough, Jed Fish, who is now the head coach at for the Washington Huskies, was that Arizona. He's now a college head coach. And then quarterback's coach was Zach Taylor. The next year, he's the head coach of the Bengals. So I don't think he's an idiot, but
I don't think he's a bad coach. I mean, they are consistently pretty decent, but I think he has a really good defensive coordinator on that side of the ball, and he doesn't need to worry about it. And I think his offenses are very up and down. I mean, the Bengals go on these streaks where they look like they could win the Super Bowl, and then they have weeks like this. And I feel like that's kind of been the same thing since the Super Bowl, like the last 3 years, where they're just. If you remember last year, was it last year or the year before? But they kind of fell really flat, and they came out and they beat the hell out of the Niners that one week, and everyone was like, "Oh, like Joe Burrow's back."
Last year.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that could happen again, but we'll see. Again, it's so hard to take anything from week one. Every single year something like this happens. So we'll see. If you remember, that might have been last year too, where like the Bears beat the Niners week one.
I had a thought. Oh, I know what it was. My brother is a big Joe Burrow fan and follows the Bengals really closely. And we've talked about, when we're together, we talk football. And I've said from the beginning with Burrow going there, that's not a good organization. And clearly, like, he's demonstrated he's good enough to take this team to the playoffs, which means you're drafting in the back half of the order. And this organization is not Green Bay. It's not Philly. It's not Dallas. It's not Pittsburgh. No. These teams that know what to look for and how to draft in the back half of the order. And we saw it with Andy Dalton, those Andy Dalton teams, that when they were drafting high, they were getting AJ Green, Andy Dalton. I'm trying to think of other guys on that team. Vontaze Burfict.
They had a bunch of guys on the defensive side.
Bunch of dudes on that team. And then they started making the playoffs, and they started drafting in the back half of the order. The roster fell apart. Andy Dalton got older. The offensive line deteriorated. I mean, and I worry the same thing's happening now with the Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's really disappointing. I love when like the small market teams are good. I think it's so awesome for the league and everything. So disappointing. I mean, you kind of just like penciled the Bengals in as like an 11, 12 win team every year.
I had concerns about this team in the preseason. I let it slide because I figured Joe Burrow would be healthy, but this did nothing to quash those concerns. I'm even more concerned about this team now. It's only week one. Don't want to overreact, but if Burrow's already feeling hurt with his hand,
we can only talk about what we see. And
Tom is almost on the panic button with that team.
Yeah. Week one, we can only go off of week one as of right now. And as of right now, it didn't look good. Getting T. Higgins back will definitely help. Jamar Chase, sure. Getting back to practice and everything, hopefully soon. This is the thing I don't get. You're going to pay him. So just do it already. Like I said, the same thing about the CeeDee Lamb thing. It just kind of pissed me off because it was just like, why even go through all that drama? You knew you were paying him. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the week. I don't think there's much to take away. I don't think we learned that much about too many teams, honestly. Another team, and we'll get into that.
It was a lot of bad football. I mean, it was sloppy. No one's playing their guys in the preseason anymore.
Dude, it was
and these
bad.
First 2 to 3 weeks are just sloppy.
Yeah, but in somebody talked about it the other day, how like they're acting like everybody's getting, better in sports, dude. Quarterbacking does not look good right now. We used to have dude, like the 7th, 8th guy in the league was like Phillip Rivers, dude. Like he was throwing for 4,400 yards and 30 touchdowns. I mean, what is going on here? I don't know, man. Like And I think a lot of it has to do with the offensive lines. I don't know if they're not as good or the defensive linemen are just better, but I think people have less time. But
See, I had a different opinion. I would rank quarterbacks in the offseason, and I was finding myself like I would put Jordan Love up there in the top 10. I think that's where he was at the end of last year. And I would have like Dak at like 11 or 12, Purdy at 11 or 12, 13. And I'm like, if these guys are outside the top 10, I think we're in really good shape. I don't know if it's the way the defense, like we knew the defenses would catch up to these offenses at some point. And I don't know if we're going through that right now where they're just like, we're going to give a, like, you're not going deep on us. Everything's going to be in front of us. And that's left the, run game open and teams are just running the ball more, which I think is likely.
Run the damn ball.
Yeah, for sure, for real. The Kelceys were talking about that today on their podcast. I was listening to it. They were saying how run game's wide open. And I think coaches are just like, if you're going to give us these rushing lanes, we're going to take them. Some of them anyway, not all of them.
And obviously, I think a lot of defenses are playing for the pass more now for obvious reasons. But another thing is because everybody is drafting speed now, later now. Linebackers that used to be 260 for obvious reasons because they were thumpers are like 225 now. I mean, you can run the ball now. And I think we are seeing that come back. And I think that that's a big reason why, as good as Dallas looks this year, I just don't think they're going to be able to do it come January when it gets cold outside and they got to go somewhere and play. You got to be able to run that. That's just something that's never going to change in football. And I think people were kind of starting to think it was there for a little bit. It's not, that's still how you win football games and it's still how you pass very well. So
that is, I've toyed with this idea for my blog, this manifesto, where I say it's just thoughts on the game. And like the very first thing I said was like, number one was it starts up front. And 2 was run the damn ball, I think. Like, that is a tale as old as time. Just run the damn ball. And I honestly think a lot of teams ran the ball a lot this week. Yeah. And a lot of them ran the ball effectively. Like, the Chargers ran for, I think, 160. The Niners ran for 180. Even the Packers and Eagles ran for over 100 yards. Yeah. And the Packers, I've always been, with LaFleur, I'm like, run the ball, dude. Just run it. And he finally did. And they ran for 160. Granted, 30 of that was on a Jaden Reed kind of reverse. But still, I mean, I'll take 160 every single week running the ball. So those are our thoughts. I do want to say Carolina looked worse than what I was expecting.
Not me. It was so funny that I think a lot of people, nobody said they were going to be good, by the way. Like, I understand that. But, like, a lot of people were on them, like, they're going to be feisty, 6-7 wins.
I never understood where that came from.
And I'm just like, why? Like, they don't have, I mean, who knows if Canales is any good, but I mean, I think it's safe to assume that he probably won't be just based on history, based on it being Carolina. Like, chances of him working out are small. Bryce sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Great college player. He's a Heisman winner. He's a college football Hall of Famer. He's not an NFL player. He can't even be a backup for you because he is just literally too small to play football. And if his whole thing was elite, just, processing, decision-making, accuracy, things like that.
There's a spot for those dudes who are physically limited, but mentally they know everything. There's a spot for those guys.
And it looks like that's even slipping though now too. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that just has to do with he has no confidence in anything around him, the play calling, the organization, his own body, his own skill set. And I just think it's all compounding into he's literally considering the trade and everything like that is going to be. I think Jamarcus Russell is more embarrassing. Because
he had the tools.
Because he was just like honestly just a piece of shit. Let's just call it what it is. Bryce is an amazing guy, and I think if he was 6'4", he would be a great player. He's done, man. He's done.
I'm not ready to say that yet. I'll give him till Thanksgiving. I just think that's a good time frame, year 2 of Thanksgiving. But I'll be honest, I'm with you. I'm almost close to just saying it's over. It's over. He's just not going to be the player you want him to be.
And it's like, dude, I genuinely think if you threw him on, the Niners or something like that, he still wouldn't be that good. I don't think he could hold fucking Brock Purdy's jock. But the fact that he's just in Carolina, who's his fucking wide receiver 1? Xavier Legette.
I like Legette.
Their
Who's the
best
dude they
player
got from the Steelers? Deontay Johnson?
Yeah, dude, decent little
Good
player.
player.
Their best defender just got hurt. They traded away their best defender the year before that. So it's like they don't, who's the JC Horn, I guess. It's just they just don't have any body. They don't have anything. They don't have any structure. Their owner sucks. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're
And
just
you can
kind
go
of
through the archives. I was once a fan of his that has since ceased.
he's not any good, man. He's just not. It is what it is.
So
Not
let's
a
get into
football team.
picks. You want to do picks or you want to call it there?
Yeah, we can do picks.
Okay.
Shouldn't take long.
That's my laundry for those listening. Going off. All right, so Thursday night football, we have Bills at Dolphins. Right now, the line is wait, let me refresh. We're recording this on Wednesday. Right now, the line of this Thursday night game is Dolphins -2.5. Who do you got?
I want to pick the Bills so bad, man, but
I know,
I
so
just
do I.
want a short week and stuff. I don't think they're going to be able to defend.
I don't either.
I don't think they're going to be able to defend Miami very well. And conversely, they're Miami's defense isn't a world beater. In fact, they might be kind of bad. But I also, outside of Josh Allen, just don't think they have much to really worry about. So as much as I want to pick the Bills, and I do think Josh Allen can win the game for them, and I think that there's a decent possibility of that happening, I do got to go Miami there.
Yeah, I don't like doing it because I love our boy Josh.
I almost want to change my mind, dude. Shit.
But
I won't.
Short week on the road that never really favors road teams.
Yep. It's gonna be hot, dude. It's gonna be hot too. I mean,
Dolphins
it's gonna
have given this team trouble in Miami.
I agree.
And
they give everybody
new guys in the secondary, new guys on offense. It just feels like the Dolphins, but I really hate that pick.
Yeah.
I
don't think the guys to cover their receivers right now, frankly.
Right.
So,
Raiders at Ravens right now. The Ravens are -8.5. It was -9.5.
I'm opener, baby. I'm hyped.
Are you going to the game?
Nah, but we just go get wasted out of the bar, so it's cool.
I'll go ahead and say I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer. I'd even take the Ravens with the points there. I just
more time to prepare, better coach, better quarterback.
They're gonna be pissed too. I think they're gonna come out with their what do you say? They're piss hot? Is that what it is?
Yeah, come out with your piss hot.
Yeah, there you go.
That wasn't my thing. That's a LaFleur thing. He said that one time, and he said, like, we got to come out with our piss hot. And then everyone in the press conference kind of looked at each other. What?
Like, I like that. Because you know exactly what he means. Like, even though it's not actually descriptive, you know exactly what he means.
Chargers at Panthers. Right now, Chargers are -5.5. Gone down from 6.5.
I might bet that right now.
Yeah.
For Chargers. I mean with the points that I'm going to tell you the difference here, and it's so funny. Harbaugh did it already. They're just already a way tougher team. And when two teams don't necessarily have great rosters, the tougher team's going to beat the shit out of the other one, and that's what's going to happen here. I mean, first of all, they have a way better quarterback, a better coach, all that stuff, of course. But I think from outside of that, just the rosters, it's just they don't have much going on over there. Derek Brown's hurt now. They're going to run the ball right
down. There's blood in the water in this game. Carolina struggled to defend the run last week. They lost Derek Brown. I think Harbaugh is licking his chops.
Yep.
Like, we are going to run and run.
We're going to run the ball, probably 50% of the time, 55% of the time. It's going to be pretty funny.
Saints at Cowboys right now. Cowboys are -6.5.
I would consider, if it was in New Orleans, picking the Saints, but that defense against Derek Carr, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something very similar to last week. Though I think Derek Carr, played pretty well last week, but he's kind of one of those players as well.
The Saints are a team that always play well at home. That's a really tough place to play.
Yep.
Do you know how many games the Cowboys have lost since 2021 at home?
1.
I believe it's 4. 2021. So 3 years.
Oh, okay. So the last 2 years, because I know the game that you guys
the last 2 years, it's 1, yeah.
In AT&T was the first time they'd lost there in like 17 games or something. But yeah, I mean, that's great. They have dude, Dak in that stadium's tough. He's a tough out, dude.
Yeah. Next game. Bucks at Lions. Right now, Lions are -7.5. The line has gone up. It was at -7.
Another game I'd consider picking Tampa Bay if it was in Tampa, but um, Lions are a better team, and they actually have a hell of a home field advantage now. So I think
They
that
do.
that's a good game for them.
I don't know if last week was who the Bucks are. I think they just caught a team with a rookie quarterback at the right time. Um, I think they'll be ready. I mean, that was a close game between them in the playoffs. Bucks are probably pissed. If this line inches up closer, I think Bucks will keep this thing within the spread.
I agree.
But Lions are the more physical team with a better head coach. I got to go Lions. All right, my game, Colts at Packers. Right now, it is Colts -3. The line was -3.5, so it's gone down a little bit. What do you think? I'll let you go first.
Really tough game to pick
Yeah.
for obvious reasons, and I think it's because we have absolutely no idea what to expect out of either quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the coaches are actually fairly similar, both
Mm-hmm.
in style and just in pedigree. I think Lafleur's definitely done it longer, so I'll give him that. But I mean, I think Steichen's really good offensive mind, and I think I just got to go with the guy that I think can make more plays right now, and that's probably Anthony Richardson. I don't feel good about that pick. I wouldn't bet on
I
this.
don't
I
either.
definitely stay away, but I don't think Malik Willis is very good, dude. So
I don't
we'll
either.
see. So yeah, I'm gonna have to reluctantly go Colts, even though I'd like to pick the
I'm
back.
going Colts as well. I don't know what I'm getting in Malik Willis.
Yep. It's dude. It's
Really bad as a rookie. I don't think he's that player anymore. I would imagine not. Only one direction, as I say, one direction for him to go, and it's up.
Yep.
And I think LaFleur can get the most out of him. I think he'll probably run the ball a lot this week.
Yep.
I'm not sold on Anthony Richardson. Everyone else is.
Looks good though.
He had 3 good passes last week, and one of them, the receiver did all the work. One of them probably should have been picked, and the other was like a legitimately great play. But
100%. But you do got to take, and I know you know this, but it's like, I mean, he made a few plays that only maybe him and 2 or 3 other guys could even make. So it's like it's Shane Steichen's job, and I think he'll do a good job of it, of making sure he can do the easy stuff because the hard stuff's already there. So I think the hardest part is out of the way. Maybe not the hardest part, but you know what I mean. I think the tools are there, and I think he has a good coach to kind of get something out of them. They definitely need a couple more playmakers, but they ran the ball really well last week. And if he can make a couple plays a game, that might be enough to win it because they have a pretty decent defense. So
yeah.
But I
Browns.
think he's very raw and sloppy as of right now. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Browns at Jags. Right now, that line is Jags -3.
Yeah, I'm going Jags.
I also will be going Jags.
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Watson is just could he have a good game here? Don't trust him. It's in Jacksonville. I think
Jags let one slip last week. I think they're going to be pissed.
I was gonna say I think the Jags have like this really bad habit of like closing games out, but they've looked really good in parts of like every game they ever play. You know what I mean? It's I feel like all the games they lose they were winning, and then they get. I don't know. I think the Jags actually are kind of a sneaky good team this year, potentially. So I'll definitely go them.
Yeah, my opinion hasn't wavered on the Jags. I still think they're good. I think they're a playoff team, or could be a playoff team.
Yeah.
I mean, they had that game won against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Niners at Vikings. Right now, it is. Niners -6.5.
A lot of easy picks this week.
I agree.
Niners no brainer. I mean, it's just you gotta have a quarterback to even have a chance at the the Niners and
I think the Vikings get brought back down to earth playing a real team.
Yeah, I actually think that game could be pretty ugly. So
Seahawks at Patriots. Right now it is Seahawks -3.5.
Another sneaky game because of
the
travel. Is what I would say. I think you just kind of have to pick the Seahawks because they're so much better. Just have way better players. But if you told me that the Patriots won a game like they did last week, very similar fashion, I'd believe it 100%.
Yeah. I actually had a tougher time picking this game than I thought I would, but I did go Seahawks. Patriots were on emotion. They played a team that was sleepwalking. I feel like sloppy and sleepwalking, and I don't think they're going to get that with Seattle this week.
No. Nope.
Jets at Titans. Right now, it's Jets minus 3.5.
I want to pick the Titans so bad.
I came close to doing it.
I won't though. I feel like we're feeling the same about all these games then, because we're definitely saying.
I wonder where we're going to differ. So you're going Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah. So am I. I just can't trust Will Levis. Yeah, I wonder where we're going to differentiate. So far, we're 1,000 right now. Giants at Commanders. Right now, Commanders minus 1.5.
Wow. I don't know. What a shitty game. I'll go Giants.
Oh, okay. Our first difference this week. I'm going Commies.
Terrible about that, dude.
I don't like Jaden Daniels, but he's more dynamic, and I think he can make some plays.
No question.
Daniel Jones was bad, and I don't know how much better he's going to be. All right, Rams at Cardinals. Right now, it's Cardinals minus 1.5.
Wow. I think if Stafford's healthy, you got to go Rams, right?
I thought I would stump you there.
You went Rams?
I took the Rams as well.
Dude, I wanted to with the O-line and everything.
Once I really broke it down, I was like, gosh, I don't know if I can take the Rams, but I did it anyway just because, one, like we said, Stafford and McVay, and under McVay, since the Cardinals have drafted Kyler Murray, they just had his number. They've lost one game, I think, in 9 meetings against Kyler Murray.
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. So he has Kyler figured out then that he's not a player that they struggle with.
I don't know what his numbers are in those games, but they've won 8 of 9 meetings.
Yeah, they can be good.
Steelers at Broncos. I wonder who you're going to take here. Right now, it's Steelers minus 2.5. It was minus 3.
You got to go Steelers here. It's going to be just like last week. Very, very similar game, but I don't see how Bo Nix is going to be able to move the ball on this defense. I don't
like picking against Sean Payton at home.
Especially, dude.
Like we said with our pick last week, I didn't think you would take the Steelers last week. I thought you'd take the Falcons, but continuity. The Steelers, really good defense. Great defense, travels well in the NFL. And I also saw that Tomlin is 24-6 against rookie quarterbacks.
Wow. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Where were we? All right. Bears at Texans. Texans are minus 6.5 right now.
I'll go Texans, but damn, that's a good. I'm going to watch the hell out of that game. I can tell you that much.
That might get ugly.
Yeah.
Just based on myself and Bears.
100%. First of all, the Texans are very, 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 very.
I was impressed with them. Like that was a team I wasn't as high on as other people, but they showed me a lot. Like they ran the ball well and they looked good defensively. The only reason why that game was really that close was because the Colts blocked the punt at one point. I live in this area. I get a lot of Texans games, and I was watching that game, and like it really wasn't that close.
No, it wasn't, and. Yeah, I agree. I think that game could end up being a boat race. So,
Monday Night Football, Falcons against your Eagles. Right now, Eagles are minus 6.5.
I don't like that spread, but Link's going to be rocking. It's Monday Night Football. First of all, we know Kirk in prime time is already bad.
I didn't think about that. Yeah,
didn't look great last week. I think we've discussed this as well. I think the Falcons have, good skill players on paper, but they've, kind of never really proven that. I think Bijan definitely scares me, but I'm not afraid of Pitts or London or Kirk Cousins. They have a good secondary that I think, I'm afraid of Jalen throwing another couple picks, and it just, how Philly radio gets, man. It's just like they all just start fucking pulling their hair out. But I mean, I do think that this should be a pretty comfy win. I think another big game from Saquon here, and I think their number 2 corner is one of the worst in the league. So Devontae Smith should have a pretty good game as well.
I'm going Eagles as well. Just better in the trenches, better quarterback. more time to prepare.
Yeah.
Get 2 extra
true.
days.
True.
Or no,
3.
3. Yeah, you're right. I want to say the Falcons will be better, but I probably have to see it at this point.
Yeah, and they'll definitely do quick game, which is like my least favorite thing to watch because you're just like watching the defense can't really do anything besides tackle well. So I'm sure they'll do that, but
And then I can't stand the people that are like, "Oh, he was so accurate. His completion percentage is near 70. He hasn't thrown the ball 5 yards down the field."
dude, he's throwing bubble screens and slants and shit, which is effective, but like don't stat box watch. But yeah, Eagles are just a way better team. If it was in Atlanta, I would feel a little more nervous about it, but it being in Philly, I think this is a pretty comfy W. So
All right, game of the week. I got Bengals at Chiefs. Right now, it is Chiefs -5.5.
shouldn't be game of the week. I can fucking tell you that much.
Well, who would you have it?
Chiefs.
It's not a great week.
Well, I mean, obviously, like they probably made this like a month ago, and it was 100% the game of the week. But I just mean, like
on paper, regardless of how the Bengals look, this should be the best game of the week.
Yeah. So, but I got Chiefs big. I think they're going to do very similar thing to what they just did to the Ravens, but probably even more so because a lot of the Ravens playmaking in that game came from Lamar Jackson's legs, which obviously Joe Burrow isn't doing. So we'll see. Joe Burrow's had a couple good games, Joe Burrow does show up in big games, so we'll see. But I don't know. I don't feel good about that one either.
Some tells me the Bengals bounce back.
Right? I'm sitting here thinking that. That's why I said I don't feel good about that because I'm just like
they always play the Chiefs tough,
and Joe
just catching up at the wrong time.
Yeah, and I hate to be like intangibles guy, but it does seem like Joe plays well when he needs to like this. So we'll see. But I do think that's an easy pick for the straight win. But I could see the Bengals covering for sure.
Let's roll through college. Let's try to. I know I'm keeping you a little long. Let's try to go through college. Number 4, Alabama at Wisconsin.
Damn.
Right now, it's. Hang on, I lost my spot. Right now, it's Alabama -16.5.
Bama.
Yeah. I think after that scare against South Florida, Bama should bounce back. I don't know if Wisconsin's good enough offensively. Next game. Number 16 LSU at South Carolina.
Good game.
That line is LSU -6.5 right now.
Good game. I will go LSU though.
All right. I'm going LSU as well. So I don't know what I'm getting in South Carolina. They look terrible in week 1, bounce back big in week 2.
Don't they have some drama going on with Shane Beamer right now too? Or am I making that up?
I don't know anything about that, honestly.
Never mind. Maybe I'm
Number 24, Boston College at number 6, Missouri. Right now it is, where's that line? Missouri -16.5.
Boston College ranked. Look at BOB up there. But yeah, Missouri.
They beat Florida State, who was already 0-1.
Still, but that's still cool though.
No, I know. I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just like, I don't get why they're ranked. They beat an 0-1 Florida State team that was ranked in the top 10. The only reason why they were ranked in the top 10 was because the AP didn't refresh the rankings after week 0.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're Missouri. I'm going Missouri as well.
They're good.
I don't want to completely dismiss Boston College though. Like I do believe in Bill O'Brien. Like I don't think he's a bad coach. I've said that time and time again.
Great coach. I think he's a great coach. He's won pretty much everywhere he's went, if you think about it.
He won at Penn State when they were coming off the Sandusky scandal. He won with the Texans. Only reason why he really got fired there is because he came to GM. And let's call it what it is. He ran the team in the ground. Some dudes just aren't meant to be GMs. And, he got blacklisted for that. And I'm not sure he should have.
Yeah.
Number 9, Oregon.
He will be in the NFL again. I bet you.
I think so too. Number 9, Oregon at Oregon State. Right now it's Oregon -16.5. I thought about an upset here. Oregon has not looked good.
I was going to say Oregon looks, fairly pedestrian. But I love
Jonathan Smith was still at Oregon State. He's now at Michigan State, the head coach. Yeah. I'd probably take the upset.
I love Dan Lanning though. So I'm gonna go Oregon here.
Oregon has a talent advantage. I think they have a coaching advantage. But I think, 16.5, I'll say Oregon State keeps it within that.
Yeah.
Number 18, Notre Dame, coming off a horrendous loss to Northern Illinois at Purdue. Right now, that line is Notre Dame minus 9.5. I don't know what I'm getting with Purdue. They played one game. They had a week off, played an FCS team, week off. Now they got Notre Dame. I think I get Notre Dame lost last week, but I don't think they're terrible. I think they just sleepwalked through that game after beating A&M.
I agree. I do think, Notre Dame is always overrated and everything like that, but they're always very good. I do think, what happened last week just kind of happens a couple times a year in college football, and it's crazy. But
if you don't have one of the top coaches,
yeah, they're gonna beat this team pretty badly, I think. So I feel good about Notre Dame here.
This just isn't a great week of football.
Not a lot of good matchups.
A&M at Florida.
Ooh.
Right now, that's A&M minus 3.5.
A&M, got to. How could anyone pick Florida in anything
I can't.
Unless they're playing an absolutely dog shit school. They're not winning the game. I don't feel
Billy Napier's back is against the wall, and his team came out flat in week 1. Like, you know how hard that is to do?
I don't see him finishing the season.
I don't either, right? At this rate. Washington State at Washington, the Apple Cup.
Oh, I like that.
Washington is minus 4.5 right now. I thought about the upset here too.
Yeah,
Washington State beat the doors off Texas Tech last week.
I'll go Washington though.
Yeah, I think Jed Fish is a good coach. They're working in new pieces, but I like their talent. All right, our game. Backyard brawl, West Virginia at Pitt. Right now it is West Virginia minus 1.5. The line has gone down from, I think, 2.5.
I'll take West Virginia. Fucking losers.
I'm going West Virginia as well. I can't bring myself to pick Pitt.
Yeah, I'm just not going to pick Pitt. It is what it is.
We looked horrible last week, I thought. And
I saw your tweets. I'm glad
I was very furious about that performance. The reason why I take West Virginia though, Pitt struggled against the run last week, gave up 150 rushing yards, and I don't think it's an accident that game was at noon. We play at 5, 6 your time, and what did we do? We ran the ball down. It's at Albany, but still ran the ball for 300 yards. I think they knew that they saw a weakness there, and they said, we have got to start running the ball. And I think we're going to run the ball. I'm not sure Pitt's going to be able to slow it down.
Hope so. I like that analysis.
But I hate Neil Brown. I just want to make that clear.
Me too.
Number 5, Ole Miss at Wake Forest.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm not even going to give the spread of that game.
I was going to say, Ole Miss is good, dude. And by the way,
it's not a great week.
By the way, Jackson Dart. I mean, has there been a better quarterback name ever? Ever, dude.
I love Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy is up there.
That's a good one.
100%. But come on, dude. Is there many more? Like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Jackson Dart. Are you kidding me?
He either should be a quarterback or a shortstop, like with that.
Yes. Dude. Oh my God. And he has the flow. I love him, dude. I think he's going to be a good NFL player.
Why isn't he getting more hype for the draft? I haven't watched him enough. Maybe, he's not physically gifted or something.
Yeah. I don't know how big he is. Maybe he's not a big guy, but he has a hose, dude. He can toss the pill for sure. Because I watched a couple Ole Miss games last year. I knew he was good.
Number 1, Georgia at Kentucky. I'm not giving the spread.
Georgia. I'm not giving this spread. Yeah, on these ones where it's like 30, it's just like, yeah.
Those last two were 23.5 and 24.5.
If you're not a betting show, like anything above like 15 is just like, yeah, dude, like we get it. Massive favorites.
UCF at TCU. Right now, that game this is a coin flip game.
Wow.
Where is that line? Right now I'm sorry. UCF is now the favorite, minus 2.5. TCU was minus 2.5. So a lot of money coming in on UCF in the last 48 hours or so.
I'll take the home team. I'll go TCU.
I'm going UCF here.
Nice.
I think Malzahn's the better coach. They averaged, now they haven't played anybody, but they have averaged 400 rushing yards in 2 games.
Holy
averaged.
Shit. That's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, that's clearly good. Let's say, let's bring it down to normal and say it's 200 a game is what they finish with. I don't know if TCU can slow them down.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that stat. That's
I did that today while I was bored at work. I was going through research for my blog, trying to figure out who I'm going to pick. And I saw that. I was like, Knights. I'm going to UCF.
Nice.
All right, game of the week. This is on Friday. I am actually looking forward to this one. Number 20, Arizona at number 14, Kansas State. Battle of the Wildcats. Right now, the line of that game is, damn it. Stop doing that. Kansas State minus 7.5.
Yeah, you got to go home team again here.
I went Kansas State as well. I haven't
Good
loved what I've
road,
seen from Arizona. I think they're talented. They just haven't played that well. They won a shootout against New Mexico. They had a struggle win against an FCS team. Talented. They have some dudes who are going to be NFL first-round picks. Not sure what kind of depth they have. New head coach, too. I think Chris Kleiman's the better coach. More physical team at home. Feels like a Kansas State win.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the podcast for this week. Anything else you wanted to touch up on?
No, I think we got pretty in depth with.
We're going on well over an hour.
So I like it. I like it a lot.
Yep. All right, my man. Let's have a fun week. Doesn't look like a great week of games. I hate my picks already. I hate them. I took one underdog, and I hate it in the NFL. One underdog.
I mean, I hate going chalk sometimes too, but sometimes that's just the pick, dude. You know what I mean? It's like,
and it's always these weeks where I'm like, who else am I going to pick? And I end up like 9-7.
You are so smart about football that you actually go full fucking 180 and make dumb decisions sometimes. Because I swear sometimes you're just like, this team, they got a better roster. They run the ball well. Other team can't stop the ball. But I don't know, man. Like, I got to pick an underdog this way. Or, like, when you're, like, picking records, you're like, it's not 279 and 279. Like, I got to go back and I'm like, I get, like, it has to be that way.
Because I'm a sicko that is like, if it's not 272 now, it was 256. Now with 17 games, it's 272. It has to be 272.
And I get it, but it's like, you can't pick, like, it's like,
I noticed that
Steelers 9 wins and the Eagles 11 wins, but that can't happen. So it's like, I don't know, dude. It's like, and I feel like, ball on like a caveman level like me, but you also know ball on like a Howie Roseman like analytical level, and I feel like you're better than me at this because you blend the two so well, but sometimes you just like get off the track.
I'm better than you. You're better at picking NFL.
It's all vibes too, baby.
Granted, like a year or two ago, you had a 15-game lead on me, and that has now shrunk to about 4.
I know. Last year you beat me, right? First time.
No, I think it was the year before. Last year you won by 1 game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean,
so I've surged in the last 2 to 3 years.
It is crazy that we are this close every year, though, honestly.
I believe it's 4. It was 7. I think it's 4 now after week 1 because I swept our different picks. Yeah, it's down to 4. 7-13 to 7-9. Those are our win totals.
I got to step it up.
For our correct pick totals. College is the one where we're dead even, just about. It's 474 to 473.
Which is crazy because you just know college way better than me. But also, like, there's only like 3 games every week in college where you're like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's always like a bunch of blowouts and then like 2 or 3 close games. So it's like it is a little bit harder to pull away compared to the NFL where like sometimes you go like 500 in picks in the NFL. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So. I mean, a really good week in the NFL is like 12-4 for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, and I told you this one time, when I created my blog and I started doing weekly picks, my goal was to finish in college with a 75% win total or a correct pick total or percentage, and NFL at 70%. That was my goal. Do you know where I'm at?
In the 60s for both.
63% in the NFL. 7% under my goal. Like the league humbles you. And I've picked up on that. That's not like still my goal. My goal is now like 65%.
I mean, dude, there's so many just coin flip games every week that it's just, you just have no idea.
I was humbled real quick. I was like, oh, 70% doesn't exist in the NFL.
Whereas I feel like college is getting easier and easier because it's just like, even when
I'm
the good
teams play. I'm still not at 70% for college. I'm at about 67. So
but
a little bit
I feel like you're going to bring that up though over the next couple of years because it's just like, even in like the games where it's like two rank, it's like, dude, like Georgia is going to beat the shit out of like, Notre Dame or whatever, who might be like a 10. So you're going to even start getting the ones that should be close, but yeah.
All right. I'll let you go. I got to make dinner. Good talking ball, man. I'm glad that we're being committed to this finally for a football season.
I love talking ball, buddy.
Yeah. It's just, it was difficult with us being on different time zones, but now I don't want to bring it up, but you creating your own business, but helps a lot.
Yeah, it does help a lot. I'm home a lot more, which is really good. And by the way, who the fuck is on Central Time Zone, Shane? It's ridiculous. I know you live there, but
25% of the country.
No.
If you break it down by time zones.
The only Eastern Time Zone is the standard.
Eastern Time Zone is the worst time zone.
You were born in it and raised in it.
No, I was raised in Central Time, technically. I lived for 15 years in Alabama. That's Central Time.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't realize that. I guess that is, yeah. Okay.
15 years in Alabama. Now, I lived for 4 before that in West Virginia. And then, I've spent a lot of time in Eastern Time, but.
Gross.
Eastern Time sucks. Like the men's basketball national championship starts at 9:00 Eastern.
Oh, I get it being late for sure. I just mean like, I don't know, just like saying you're in Central Time Zone just sounds weird. But all right, buddy.
All right, I'll see you.
That was my final thought. Later.